For over 20 years, he has thanked them. Now he gets to meet them and thank them in person. Finally, B&E have made it to Fort Hood.
I just want to say a sincere thank you.
Brought to you by Land Rover Jaguar of Austin. Special thanks to Circuit of the Americas. And thank you to all those serving around the world.
Honoring those who kept me safe.
Now, live from Fort Hood, here's Bucky and Aaron.
Final hour of a very, very unique and special day for us. Bucky just spoke to the power of being out here at Fort Hood, Texas throughout the course of the morning, learning about it, the inner workings, the day-by-day activity that goes on at this massive installation. It's the largest in the world. But our tour will continue afterwards. They've got a scheduled, Buck, to do some warrior skill training, which is good. We're going to get trained. Got lunch at the Theodore Roosevelt Warrior Restaurant.
It's the mess hall.
The mess hall.
Yeah, I got a whole thing of CBD oil I got to take before these things. They're not going to.
We got some MREs for you, too.
Now we just got invited over to the heavy tank division. What do they call
Motor
it?
pool.
Motor pool.
They have an elevator to get into a tank.
They've got a special ladder. They've got a ladder.
Oh, they have a special.
With handrails.
Oh, thank you very much, Colonel. Thank you very much, yes.
Yeah, We'll go through all of it. Now, of course, we'll be posting all those pictures and taking you on this tour that we're going to be treated to behind the scenes here at Fort Hood, which is very, very cool. We also appreciate a lot of folks, including Colonel Flowers, for making the trip down to be with us here and kind of walk us through this. It's really you've been helped us connect dots and who's who and what they do and why they do it. Also want to thank Jeremy Crisp.
Man,
he's the sergeant major. He's been the master of ceremonies here. The ones and every guest we have, he puts a bio in front of it, and here's who this is, and here's what they're all about. And, as you would expect with the Army,
no shortcuts.
Very well.
We don't take any shortcuts.
Very well organized.
The Army goes rolling along, and Michael Finch made that major that was here. I swear that was Tom Cruise lookalike sitting here right to the right of us. He invited you to come to his personal visit over at the motor pool because they've got a big VIP coming in tomorrow, and they're going to use you as a guinea pig, kind of rehearsal for that.
VIP.
When I leave, they're saying, well, he doesn't know what he's looking at, so let's go on.
Yeah, well, listen, let me also say, speaking of Mr. Finch there, Major Finch, he's a golfer. I want to thank our friend Woody Englander and the team at the Comfort Crew.
Yes.
Because in addition to we provided through our friends at Circuit of the Americas and Bobby Epstein tickets to see the Rolling Stones in November, and they're going to be able to distribute those to the folks that they think need to be at the Rolling Stones concert here at Fort Hood. Also, Woody Englander donated to you, Colonel, two foursomes, so 8 spots in the Comfort Crew golf tournament out at Falcon Head on October 28th, later in the month, which the Comfort Crew for Military Children is just a tremendous organization. We've worked with Woody for a long, long time. He wanted to donate that. Those teams are already paid for and covered by sponsors, so that's really cool. So there's going to be some folks who work here at Fort Hood playing in that tournament at the end of the month.
You and I are playing in that tournament, and the comfortcrew.org is their website, and that's 11 o'clock. I think the tee time is at 12 or 12:30, but 11 o'clock they'll have a lunch there at Falcon Head. And Woody Englander, who played golf at the 40 Acres and played very well there, I'll get to MC that event that night. There'll be some great music like we had last year and a great dinner.
Wade Bowen last year, if memory serves.
Pretty remarkable evening. A great Jamie Frazier will be there from the high ground. And anyway, Comfort Crew, Woody Englander getting 8 soldiers here at Fort Hood. The opportunity, I understand one of them, if Woody's listening, one of them is a +3 handicap who played.
That's exactly what you need.
Yeah, who played golf at West Point that happens to be stationed here at Fort Hood somewhere.
You said he's on our team? Is that what I heard you say? He said he's playing with us?
He will be.
I would love that.
He will be with you. He'll be on your team before it's all said and done.
He said he's on our squad? I like this. I like the way this is working out very, very much.
You know, guys, when we came in at 6 o'clock this morning, Colonel, I talked to you, and I even asked the two young guys, Trevor and Derek, the feel that you got. So for those in the 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock hour, that feeling of being here, that energy, that different kind of energy that if you've never been around a place like this before, very similar to when I was at Boston College and not only just a player but a coach there, to walk on to West Point. It's the energy of people that are willing to sacrifice everything they have for everything that you have. And you just feel it. I feel it even outside the post when you see people in their, soldiers in their fatigues all over. It's just a different feel. And it's hard to explain to people. And there are people that grew up in military families and things like that. They may understand that feel, but for a civilian like myself to feel it and feel the same thing yesterday when I was just outside this post and today's energy, it's hard to explain, but there's an energy of people. There's an energy of life, and the keepers of the castle.
Yeah, it's an energy of life and a commitment to service, selfless service that I feel strangely right at home seeing some of my brothers and sisters here. But I can understand also, and Dave Bailiff has tried to capture those words that you and I talked about early this morning at 3:45 when we were up in the lobby. It's an odd feeling for someone that's not been a part of this fraternity, the ultimate team here, the United States Army. And I'm reminded of when Boone Pickens was alive. He came and visited West Point, and he was kind of had that same feeling, and I could tell he was struggling with coming to grips with where he was. And I told him, I said, Mr. Pickens, you and I didn't go to West Point. You didn't serve in the military, although he said he wished he would have. And I said, those chills that you feel when you lead the Oklahoma State Cowboys out on a brisk Saturday morning in T. Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater? And he nodded at me, and I said, well, we feel those chills here every day. And his knees buckled. And, he just said, I believe it.
Yeah. And we felt him from the jump, and we were talking to the guy in charge. It is funny that Commander Sergeant Major Cliff Burgoyne was our first guest. And he's stud. He's got the sign on when you come in. It's kind of like when you're at the store and there's the manager in charge. Yeah. This is the guy in charge. So we talked to him right off the jump, and he was great. And I thought it was pretty powerful when he said, "This is your army, Buck. This is your army. We're here for it's taxpayer dollars that fund everything that goes on, and it is ours. Which is why we should respect it and support it like we do. But at the same time, they understand that too. When you keep using the word service, Craig, I mean that's why the folks we've talked to and everybody here goes into this is to serve others. I think of our friend Dakota Myers, who is a friend of the show, and of course a special gold. What's the Medal of Honor recipient who lives in our community and is a good partner with us at the radio station with his Dash IV team. But he's come back from his deployments and his heroics to. He works at the volunteer fire department in Marble Falls because that's his way to stay serving his community. I mean, that's just what he does. I mean, he's going to keep going. He's going to come back and take a desk job. He's going to start a business, but also volunteer to help people in need when something goes on. That's the kind of, and that's something you're taught very early. I think everyone has that calling. It's just some answer the bell and others ignore it. They do, and for those that, and there are a lot of ways to serve one's country. I really believe it's not just in the military, and you guys have done that throughout your time together. You always handle it professionally, and it's never over the top, and it's recognized. And Bucky wanted to be here for 20 years, and here we are, my friend. And and this is just the start of it. And we've got to do 4 hours of work here, but you're in for a treat here. But I know you got to cover some things here in the last hour.
No, we're good. Everything is good. It's just good to talk to you guys. And as I said, waiting to get here, and it's not like we were denied. There were just things that were going on. They couldn't have us here. They weren't ready to have us here. And now that they are, man, what a thrill. I mean, what a absolute thrill.
And I think the one thing, you mentioned a little bit earlier, Buck, about some of the negative stories that have come out of Fort Hood. Obviously, we know they're there. And I would say, in a community, 50,000, 60,000 people that live in this installation, that there's going to be bad things that happen in any community that large. But at the same time, what I have felt this morning is just the appreciation they have for us coming here and highlighting how they operate on a day-by-day basis. They understand they're behind gates, and you can't just walk in here and take a tour. So there's a lot that goes on, and there's a lot of people doing great work here, and they appreciate it. And, this all started from you thanking the troops every morning, Buck, in Fort Hood, but they listen to our show, whether it's on a podcast. Isn't that amazing to you to hear that people? We're in studio. No one. You don't know if you listen to the morning story or who's out there or what. And now you sit there and you get to meet some of those that say every morning I time my morning when I pull into the gate at a certain time. And,
that was remarkable.
That was
too.
Pretty cool.
Well, and I know this. I mean, our first guest, I mean, the minute he told me that half of these people here are teenagers, I'm still not quite over that part yet.
Teenagers. Well, I mean, that's the 37,000.
What are you doing with all these teenagers? They're teenagers still, right?
But it's not that dissimilar to what you did coaching football.
That's
I mean, you're bringing teenagers into a college environment.
That's true.
And training them and hoping they go off and do better things. That's exactly what happens here. Because, yes, with the Army soldiers, and we're talking about 37,000 that are here. Half of them are teenagers, as he told us.
And dude, and just think about this, guys. Half of these the people that we've had here and we met this morning, they're so young, and they've already done more things than I can do in my life. I mean,
no.
Well, no, seriously. When it comes to what they've kind of gone through, and how hard it is to get through those different things, they've done an awful lot. Than somebody who's 40 years old or 35 years old.
Certainly,
and some of them are young men and young women.
Yeah, often more than certainly their peers. I mean, when you talk about the military, you're talking about less than 1/2% that serve on active duty, and that's a very small number.
They're special people.
Yeah, they can amaze you, certainly, and sometimes they can be taken for granted. And that's what you try to make sure doesn't happen each and every morning. I can't wait for you this afternoon to get to experience what you're going to see. They've got some things lined up for y'all that
I need to see stuff.
I
got to see. I'm looking, but I got to see some stuff.
Yeah, right now we're looking at a blank, an empty parade field.
Everybody has at work now.
Yeah,
right? Is that where they are now?
Taking care of business now.
They went home. They're back. They're going to work now. Their day begins. Here's a nice text we got that says, "Banded Rifles veteran. You have been baptized in the fire and blood, and have I'm trying to read this because the sun is shining right on my computer and I can't see it, and have come out steel. Sound out." And then he says, "So pumped that you guys are on Fort Hood." So many folks who have been here, been a part of this place. I apologize for the misread. I just can't. The sun is like glaring on my screen to where I can't really read these texts.
My phone is all lit up with stuff from people.
Thanks to everybody that is weighing in. Real quick, until our next conversation, because we have a couple more before we get out of here. There is some sports. We're talking Texas, Oklahoma. We had Bijan Robinson as the Big 12's Player of the Week. Rightfully so. Cameron Dicker, Special Teams Player of the Week. And we had a good Monday Night Football game last night, Buck.
Yes, we did.
You got to see this game. The Cowboys are the one team that has beaten the LA Chargers this year. They're now 3-1. Justin Herbert, I heard Steve Young. No, it might have been Adam Schefter.
Steve Young said about him being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that last night said he thinks he will be a Hall of Fame quarterback in the National Football League.
Just like that. 2 years in.
2 years into his career. And it's hard to argue when you watch that young guy fling the football. He took some hits last night. The Raiders' pass rush is a lot better. They're able to get after people. But Justin Herbert is a special player. And I know the Cincinnati Bengals like Joe Burrow, but then the Miami Dolphins don't like Tua. You got to be wondering why 5 teams passed on that young guy before the Chargers were all too happy to gobble him up.
He's a big man too. He's not a little guy, and he's got a big body. He took some hits, and it looked like the guys that hit him felt the worst of that because he popped right up and was going on to the next. It doesn't hurt to be smart. Let me a lot of the smart guys out there. It doesn't hurt to be smart, especially at that position.
I thought
you can see his mind working where he's going to next. After his first opening's not there, his second, but by the time he gets to his third, you're still not on him. That's how good he is.
Yeah, it is amazing. Happens in the military, Colonel, but in the evaluation of players into football, certainly in any sport, it is such an inexact science. I mean, these guys get paid a lot of money. They've seen a lot of football. And somehow when Justin Herbert was coming out, I remember having the draft conversation. Does he love football? Is he too smart? Why did he go back to Oregon? Because remember, he was actually knocked because he was a junior who could have been the first pick who went back to finish and play one more year with his team. And people wonder, well, maybe he doesn't want to be in the NFL. That's the overthink that goes on. Paralysis by analysis. He's big. He's 6'5". He makes throws that no one else can make. And he's showing. I mean, that's just. I mean, how do all these teams over-evaluate players?
The Hall of Fame, the former GM for the New York Giants, who's in the Hall of Fame now. His son is the assistant athletics director now at Baylor. You'll think of it here in a minute, but he's a Hall of Fame former GM in the NFL. And he's on record. I've spent time with him at the NFL Combine, and he just kind of looked at me and just said, we're lucky if we get it 50% right. with all the analysis and testing and Wonderlic and the physical stuff and the interviews, we're lucky if we get it right 50% of the time.
Me saying that I'm not ready to turn this thing over to Texas for this week on a Tuesday. Still, I mean, is it wrong not to believe that this is one of those games that still right now that I believe Texas is just a wee bit behind Oklahoma, and especially on some of the individual players?
Polian is who I was thinking of.
Bill Polian.
Bill
Polian.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think we'll get into the Texas talk heavily this week, and remember, we'll be up in Dallas with our normal. After missing it for COVID last year, we'll be back on Friday morning at the Get Teed Off at OU golf event, which is always phenomenal. We'll be at Fair Park on Saturday, and it's all back. Plus, remember tomorrow at Hayes City Store and Ice House in Driftwood, Texas, Travis and the team will be hosting another Texas Game Week pep rally, getting ready for Texas OU. That's tomorrow. Our show will be there from noon until 7 tomorrow. Well, look, I mean, if you're picking Oklahoma in this game, I don't think you're silly. I do think it's a very even football game.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Texas has, the one really, really special player in the game as far as Bijan goes. But obviously, as you said earlier, Bijan can't win it himself. I mean, he's got to have help. And Oklahoma knows how good he is, and they're going to be keyed out to stop him. I think it's fair to say
this is a Sark game. This is a Sark game here.
It is, and I think it's a Sark and Kyle Flood, who's the offensive line coach, game. They've got to be on their point of how they're going to protect these players, scheme for this offensive line to be successful. And I do think, I'll say it again, what I said yesterday about the TCU game. I thought the coaches outcoached Gary Patterson and his staff in that game.
I agree with that.
And I thought the reason it wasn't a really one-sided game was the players didn't execute the plan.
Yes.
The drop balls, the mistakes, the missed blocks. It's just and that's if that happens again, you're not going to beat Oklahoma. You're just not. Even though they're not as dynamic as they've been. And Spencer Rattler's getting booed a little bit by his home fans, because they're so spoiled by the way you start booing a kid this young in his career. You're spoiled by the quarterback play that you've seen for the last decade at OU. But Texas players have to play better. They have to play smarter football and more sound football if they're going to beat OU, Colonel.
They are, and back to that OU quarterback, that kid has got a lot of learning to do still, and he learned it last year in this game.
Yes, he did.
I watched his post-game interview with Kansas State. I didn't care much for the way he handled himself in that. He's got, and I'm sure Lincoln has spent some time with him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have a great first half, that he doesn't experience a little bit of what he experienced last year, and he finds himself on the bench.
What didn't you like about the post-game Kansas State interview that I did not see?
Well, I just thought it was I, me, my, a lot of stuff about that, and just kind of a big league approach to,
I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm better.
It was just, and that gets me to my question: how good is Kansas State?
I think that's unknown. I mean, I think I watched them play Stanford early, and Stanford. They destroyed Stanford, and Stanford has now beaten USC and Oregon on the Pac-12.
I think to answer the question, how good is anybody in the country besides Alabama and Georgia?
I think that's fair.
Where do the rest of them?
We can't answer it with. I mean, the mullet. We don't know how good the mullet is yet, even though they're 4-0. It's too early.
Is Iowa for real? Is Penn State for real? There's so many of those teams.
I think what's revealed itself in the first month of the football season at the college level is that I started the season saying that I think there's Oklahoma at the top and there's Kansas at the bottom, and everything between 2 and 9 are very even in the Big 12. I'm starting to include Oklahoma into that. Kansas still stinks out loud, right? They're 3 weeks old garbage. I mean, they're just really bad. But from 1 to 9 in the Big 12, there's very little separation. Right now, the 8th place team in the Big 12 is West Virginia. Well, they almost beat Oklahoma.
Well, and let me tell you, West Virginia, Neil Brown is going to beat at least 2 very good opponents this year.
He had Oklahoma, 16-13 final was that game. I'm just saying, I mean, if West Virginia's 8 right now, and they took Oklahoma to the buzzer, that tells you the margins are very slim. But
then they flip around and guess who they lose to? The Texas puts 70 on.
Tech.
Right. Well,
that's just a weird.
That's what I'm saying, though. The this is where when you hear Sark talked about being deliberate and process driven, and every play the next play. I mean, it is literally play the next play.
I think we're all seeing in college football. Every play does matter this year. It looks like.
Unless you're playing Alabama and Georgia, because then it may not matter.
Back to Oklahoma, though. If I'm the backup or even the number 3 quarterback at OU, I'm going to stay loose. I'm going to stay ready, because there I go again, starting to talk like Bob Stoops. But
you're dropping into Fox Bob Stoops. Man.
Yeah, I really believe that.
I think Lincoln may have another little message to give his quarterback.
I do. and it may happen again at this game. If
I
that
don't
young
want him
man
to do
doesn't
that
mature.
because he got too smart after that.
Well, so maybe as you said this is a start game. This is a PK game, too. Can he rattle the quarterback?
Please.
Can he find things that we've seen him get rattled with and further rattle that young quarterback? That'll be the question. All right, we're back. We roll on live at Fort Hood. Little football talk. A lot of Fort Hood conversation. More to come on a very unique and special show for us. Hope you're enjoying it out there. Live, local, and digital on the Horn app, on your smart speaker, and at hornfm.com.
Welcome back to B&E at Fort Hood. Thank you to all our troops for protecting us every day. And a special thanks to these soldiers stationed at Fort Hood, including 3 Corps, 1st Army Division West, the 1st Cavalry Division, the 36th Engineer Brigade, and the 13th Sustainment Command. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice.
Absolutely. Thank you every single day, and certainly thank them today for having us here at Fort Hood. It's been a tremendous 3.5 hours of conversation, and still more to come. A little sports sprinkled in, but really mostly just getting to know what goes on here at Fort Hood on a day-by-day basis, and meeting some of the great folks, including our next guest. He is the Garrison Sergeant Major Matthew Ladd. Unfortunately, he's from the state of Michigan. So
here we go.
But on the way to
it's like all morning long.
Oh, my goodness.
On the way to the break, we were talking about someone who's born in Northeast Ohio, that state up north. But it's funny, we're just talking college football.
Mean Streets.
The Mean Streets, that's right, Sergeant Major Ladd. We're talking about college football and the parity outside of Georgia and Alabama right now. But your favorite team, the Michigan State Spartans, this is one. I think there's no doubt that the transfer portal has evened the playing field for a lot of teams. Your Michigan State Spartans are a great example, now ranked and undefeated with Mel Tucker. They attacked the transfer portal and filled a lot of holes and went from a bad team to a good team pretty quickly.
They did, and unfortunately I think last year was a fluke for Mel Tucker and the Michigan State Spartans. I think it played the COVID pandemic played a huge role across college football, minus your big programs, the Alabama. I don't want to talk about them, but so it's I think what Mel Tucker is putting into place at Michigan State for the Spartans should have been evident last year, but this year is the true testament of what he's doing to that program.
Well, he's from Georgia, of course, that Kirby Smart tree, and then to Colorado for a short time, but they pried him out of there when Mark D'Antonio, bolted out. But then what he had built there. But Colonel, you've been our educator all morning.
Yeah,
when I say Garrison, what does that mean?
Well, great question. On every installation, there is a installation commander, known as the garrison commander, and then his or her right-hand person is a command sergeant major of the garrison of the installation, and we have Command Sergeant Major Ladd. So think of the garrison commander as the mayor of the installation, and his or her right-hand person, the backbone, is the senior enlisted Command Sergeant Major. He's like the lieutenant mayor, think lieutenant governor in Texas. So his challenges,
even more powerful
his
than
challenges are remarkable. His challenge, that's right, Bucky, but his challenges are remarkable. Think installation, housing, facilities, parking, stuff that people so that the war fighters can go fight the wars. He's got to get this thing. He's been deployed. He's been to combat, but now he's having to do this job, which is one of the biggest challenges on an installation.
So all this stuff trickles down to you.
Well, I think
it all trickles towards your way somehow, some way.
Some of it does. Colonel Foster is doing a phenomenal job. He's been here since the beginning of May. But there's
he's the mayor. He's the mayor.
He is. There's a lot of good things going on in Fort Hood.
Right.
And just across the installation, from 1st Cavalry Division over to West Fort Hood and 504th. There's a lot of good things going on here. We just need to tell that story more, because sometimes it seems like the negative voices are a little bit louder than all the good things.
That's one of the reasons why we're here.
I appreciate y'all being here, even though you're from Ohio.
Not going to forget that part.
No.
I got to Texas when I was 8, so I got out as soon as I could.
That is good.
Smart thing to do.
But there is a lot of good things, but this is a huge installation. A lot of soldiers, a lot of family members, and we try our best to give them what they deserve, which is the very best.
I think the visual of the mayor makes sense because it's its own city here. I mean, so just like a city would have a mayor, you're the deputy or lieutenant mayor. there's a lot of infrastructure things and day-to-day things that have to be taken care of, just like it would be in any city.
Absolutely.
Just like at an installation, they're built so that they can shut these gates and have everything they need inside these gates.
Okay.
And when you
That's
say
interesting.
Yeah, when you say inside these gates, it's got to be it's got to be difficult at times to get the message outside that gate, because what people envision is what's going on behind the gates, what's going on behind the scenes. And as you said, I mean, we're talking about since 9/11. We've been trying to get here ourselves, this show, since 9/11. So people outside of the gates say, well, what is going on behind it? All we get is the kind of news that we get has not been all that good. But this place is wonderful.
There's a lot of good things going on. And I think if you look at any major city, bad things happen to good people sometimes. And
yes.
It's hard to accept that, but it does, unfortunately. I think if you look in the Coppers Cove, Killeen, Harker Heights area, our community knows what is behind these gates, because they are us. They are part of us. You look at the demographics of, in essence, 1 in 3 citizens inside of Coryell or Bell County have some type of background on Fort Hood. They're either they're a soldier, because we only house about 24% of the soldiers on the installation.
Right? Okay.
So we have 76% of our soldiers that live in the community. Retirees, DOD contractors, or DOD civilians that work on the installation. 1 in 3. That's a huge population of this area. So Coryell, Bell County, Harker Heights, Coppers Cove, Killeen, Belton.
All the way down to Waco, it sounds like.
It
close
could
to
be
it.
close. They know what's going on here, and they know the good things. It's when you get outside of that bubble to where they don't have the interaction, the day-to-day interaction with the soldiers.
I mean, I'm sure you know the demographics, obviously. I don't think we heard 37,000 soldiers, but what's the population of Fort Hood?
Are you talking DOD civilians,
everyone,
contractors?
Like the city, the mayor of the city, you're the lieutenant mayor. What population are we talking about?
With the retirees, 130,000.
Okay, it's a good-sized city. That's a good-sized city. And Colonel, you just said something that I hadn't thought of. It makes perfect sense. But these bases and installations are built to, if something, we've never had a battle on our shores and on our ground, but if we needed to, this place could be self-sustaining while stuff's happening elsewhere. That's
100%.
That's the whole reason for building them this way. That's interesting. So you shut those gates, you lock the gates, and you guys can still, on this base in this city, can still operate and do what needs done.
We can, and hopefully we never have to do that, just because, again, our community is part of us. Just because there's fences up doesn't mean that we're not part of the community. That's
well said. But that's an interesting note to it. But it's a big operation. You're in charge of a lot of people and their lives, and that's an incredible task. It really is. And there's a lot that happens on a day-by-day basis here. I know that.
There is a lot that goes on, and luckily we have a lot of good organizations on this installation, from down the road in 1st Cavalry Division, Div West, 3rd Cavalry Regiment. Just to name a few, there's a lot of good things that are happening.
The last time I was on Fort Hood, Trace Atkins was performing here, and Trace sent me a note and said, "Hey, I need you to meet me out here." And he came out and put on. He was working with the USO, and the USO is very active here at Fort Hood. And when you have the largest military installation, the USO comes in here often. And I know the Comfort Crew with Woody's group has been in here a few times, and you have to manage all of that stuff too.
Luckily, I have a lot of good people that work on the Garrison team, so it's just a little overseen.
So you have a team within the team.
Oh, we have a huge team within the team. Yes, there's more good civilians that are part of the Garrison that if they didn't come to work every day, this place would have stopped.
So the Garrison commander is a colonel here at Fort Hood?
He is. 06 colonel.
So an 06 is considered a colonel, and you are an E9. It's interesting. That's grade versus rank.
Okay.
His grade is an E9. His rank is Command Sergeant Major. Yep. Colonel is an 06. So,
and learn it. This is what we're here to do and learn and understand. But back to the football.
Here we go.
By my math, my Ohio math, Major Ladd, the two big teams in Michigan are 10-0.
They are.
State and Michigan are undefeated.
They are. And
what's going on here? This is not okay.
No, it is okay. But the Big Ten hasn't started beating up on each other yet.
Okay, well, we've got Iowa and Penn State this week.
It's going to start this weekend.
Yes.
But the Big Ten hasn't started beating up on each other yet, and that's the great thing about the Big Ten football is it is always competitive, and they always come out to play each other hard, regardless of if one is ranked 7 and one is unranked or not. They are bringing it every week.
Sergeant Major, you know this for sure. That Rose Bowl ticket used to be so big in the Big Ten. People don't realize to get to the Rose Bowl
that was
meant everything. It doesn't seem that way because it doesn't. It's not. Rose Bowl could be something different. But when I was in the Big Ten for the years at Illinois, all you wanted to do was we actually went to the Rose Bowl just for a visit because we knew we were probably never going to get there. Yep. But they wanted to take us into the Rose Bowl. But that meant so much.
It was. That made your season be the Big Ten champion. You're playing the Pac-10 champion, and you are going to the Rose Bowl. I mean, just think of the picture of Charles Woodson with that rose in his mouth. I
know.
After.
Absolutely.
I think they beat Ohio State that year.
They did, and he won the Heisman.
He won the Heisman, and they won the national championship.
Well, that's why I remember when I still think about this when we talk about the great Drew Brees. You know, Drew Brees took Purdue to the Rose Bowl. When you think about that, Drew Brees took Purdue to the Rose Bowl. Like, that doesn't happen. They're Purdue. They don't go to the Rose Bowl. I mean, come on. And I remember back in 2004 when Texas went to the Rose Bowl the first time, the year before Vince led into the title. Remember people here around Texas land still get mad at Aaron Rodgers, the great quarterback, because he got in a bit of a verbal joust with Mac Brown because he was lobbying for Cal, who would have been the team in the Rose Bowl.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah.
And Cal doesn't go to the Rose Bowl, so Aaron Rodgers is rightfully lobbying for we're the Pac-10 or the Pac-10 team here.
Yeah. Right.
Texas. What are you talking about, Texas? We should be going to this Rose Bowl. And he thought it became political. Texas wanted to be whatever it turned out. But I understand Aaron Rodgers' point of that. And anybody in a smaller school in the Pac-12 or the Pac-10 at the time or the Big Ten understand how rare that is, that it's not Michigan or it's not Ohio State who are actually making that trip to Pasadena. That is a massive, massive deal.
They could have cared less about being in the Final Four.
No.
If you got to the Rose Bowl, that was it in the Big Ten.
The Horned Frogs.
Hey, listen now. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, took a TCU Horned Frog team to the Rose Bowl.
Major Ladd chuckles with the Horned Frogs out there.
Yeah, they went out there and they beat
their business.
They beat J.J. Watt in the Wisconsin Badgers in that football game.
Down there at a great red zone stop, if I recall.
Yeah, well, guess what? The Badgers have been shown as imposters this year in the Big Ten. they're fraud. But Iowa for real, Penn State for real. They're playing this weekend in Kinnick Stadium at Iowa. That'll be a big game. Michigan State and Michigan both unbeaten at this point. And don't forget about Ohio State. They're still there. They did lose to Oregon earlier in the year, but here they are.
That means Penn State will go to the pink locker room. That's where they're going. Going to Iowa is the pink locker room for sure. So that's a special trip.
Command Sergeant Major Burgoyne joins us again.
This is wonderful.
You got 3 Command Sergeant Majors here. This is E27 you've got right here. You've got E27 worth of guys here giving one.
So they can get this right here and get them all right here.
The backbone.
This is going to hurt right here.
The operation. Well, we're thrilled. We've talked to all of them and appreciate Command Sergeant Major Ladd for being with us and all you do to support this place. And thanks for having us.
Oh, it's absolutely our honor for y'all to come up here and share some time. Get out of Austin a little bit. Travel in Central Texas is phenomenal.
Well, come to a different city. We're in a new city right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's. It's good that y'all can be here.
We're about to see the rest of it.
Well, and we believe a lot good is going on here, and whenever we can shine the light to let folks know what's happening, let us know, because we know you're working hard on a day-by-day basis for us, and appreciate it. We'll go to another quick timeout. Thanks for being with us,
Thank you.
Thanks for what you do. Thanks for your service. We'll be right back and wrap things up here, at least on the on-air portion of the broadcast. It's B&E on the Horn.
Welcome back to B&E at Fort Hood. Thank you to all our troops for protecting us every day. And a special thanks to those soldiers stationed at Fort Hood, including the 3rd Cavalry Regiment, the 504th Battlement Surveillance Brigade, the 89th Military Police Brigade, the 1st Medical Brigade, and Operational Test Command. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice.
All right, one more segment here live on the air. Appreciate everybody, and we've had many people ask who joined in the middle or at parts of the show. We will podcast, and we podcast every segment, every hour of our show every day, but certainly this one, if you'd like to go back and hear it again and hear interviews and conversations you missed, you can do that easily at hornfm.com. Isaiah Collier, our producer back at the Horn headquarters, will be posting that throughout the course of the morning, and you can go listen in commercial-free and hear it at your leisure as we move forward. And we want to thank the men in charge here, the people in charge here who've done such a tremendous job. Leading the way is Command Sergeant Major Jeremy Crisp, who organized this for us. He's been our on-site, eyes and ears throughout the course of this morning. But we started the show, Buck, with Command Sergeant Major Cliff Burgoyne, who launched the day and got the PT going this morning, and he joins us to wrap things up. And we just wanted to thank you for everything this morning. This has been such a treat for us. And you started it, so you're going to help us wrap it up and hopefully invite us back sometime.
Well, first I want to say thank you to both of you. It's a pleasure for us to host you here, and we hope you come back. Maybe we bring back a better former offer than what you got over here. Yeah. But I mean, he is an Oklahoma guy, right? Yeah. What can you say? But
we'll look around. We'll see if we can find it better. But I don't know; they're hard to find. You two, as he said, he feels right at home here. He feels right at home here.
Yeah, it's a great place. No pun intended. But it's a great state as well, and so we couldn't do it without the support of the men and women outside of the gate, the community, because it takes a community to raise a soldier. It's not just on post; it's also off post. But if you look out there, I want to put a plug in for our museum that's starting, that big silver dome up there, and it'll be opened in about a year. And so for the folks that are listening in, if you get a chance to come to Fort Hood, come take a look. It's a great place, and we're your Army.
That still stands with me. But you work for us, and that's hard for me to believe. You've done such a great job, and you're such a great ambassador, and you've been through a lot probably in this business. You've seen a lot. You've seen people live. You've seen people die. But your optimism on where you stand and where you love. That's this place, and you've helped us grow into it just a matter of 4 hours. I mean, now we're not done. We got some tours to do, but you've helped us an awful lot today, and we really do appreciate it, and we need to continue to have great leaders like yourself. We just do, and leading in a way that's fun, in a way that helps. When you told us that half of these are teenagers here, and in a way to help them grow too, because they got a lot of living to do.
Absolutely. But, we do have 1,600 men and women deployed overseas and abroad, so let's keep them in our thoughts and prayers as well.
It is interesting. You said it takes an entire community to raise a soldier, and, we talk about it in the football sake, and Colonel's done a good job of crossing how football meets the soldier and meets the military. But, you're kind of our Steve Sarkisian here. You're up here raising these kids and into soldiers, but as we've talked about, on a more serious note, the stakes are much higher than a football game,
right,
like we'll see at the Cotton Bowl on Saturday. The stakes are life and death, so it's very, very important as you raise these young people to be soldiers that there's a lot that goes into it, and a lot of people have a hand in it.
Yeah, it's it's a privilege to serve. It's a privilege to be a leader in our Army, but there are some times where it's difficult. When you lose a friend, when you know the family, it's difficult, but it's what we signed up to do, and it's our responsibility to lead the men and women of our Army.
One other piece of info you brought to us as we were talking with Sergeant Major Ladd, this is the 7th largest community, how did you put it, demographically, the 7th largest in the great state.
That's right. So we are. We're not as big as Houston. They've got a minor league football team down there. They've got the Houston Texans.
Yeah, they do.
True enough.
And then we've got another one. We got another minor leaguer up north in Dallas, and then the professional team. We have to drive nine hours to go see the Saints play.
That.
But we are the 7th largest metropolis in the state of Texas, and so if you think about that, it's a large place. I mean, there is a little bit distance between Austin and Killeen as far as land and infrastructure, but we here in Central Texas are proud of the state and proud of our community.
And a lot of economic impact comes out of here, and what happens. And obviously, as Central North Austin grows, it's almost becoming one big, glob of everyone, and so we're all in this with you. So thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much. What a great day today was, guys.
Looking forward to the rest. That is Command Sergeant Major Cliff Burgoyne, who launched our conversations and wrapped it up for us. And seriously, though, if you'll have us back, we would love to. And if you ever want to come down, and I know you're coming down for a golf tournament, we'll play some golf. And
stop by and see us.
Yeah, stop by and see us at the radio station. But thanks for all you do here at Fort Hood. Cliff, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Craig, thank you, man.
You bet. Glad we did it. We'll see you on the high ground.
Yeah. Buck?
Yeah, man. We're here. We did it. Took a long time.
Feeling good?
I feel privileged. Privileged today. Thanks for hanging out with me all these years, and we're here. We got here.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll be back in studio tomorrow morning. Thank you to Isaiah Collier for making it all work back at the studio. And thanks to Derek and Trevor. Derek Cohen, Trevor Hines on site, getting up early, 0:30 to get this thing on the air and looking good and sounded good. Follow us on the socials throughout the day, Twitters and Instagrams and Facebooks and things like that to follow our tours and all that we'll post. Thanks, everybody at Fort Hood. Can't thank them enough. Have a wonderful Tuesday, and God bless America.
Go Army.
Beat Air Force.